Hi, I'm Michael Zimbalist. This is my brother Jeff. We're the directors of Unser team, which will be releasing in theaters here in Germany by Kino on Thursday, the 28th of this month.
The film tells the story of the tragic crash that took most of the Chapecoense football club and the inspiring rebuilding of the community and the team in the coming months afterwards.
Yesterday we had the premiere, or you guys had the premiere at the 11mm Film Festival. Walk us through it. How was it for you guys?
It was great. Yeah, it was a real honor. We had heard so much about the 11mm Film Festival. We had some films that played there in the past, but we weren't able to attend. So this is our first time in Berlin, which is really exciting. Kino is a great distributor, so we're very happy that they're handling the film here in Germany, and honored that they had us out. And the screening was really cool. It's a great theater at the Babylon here in the center of Berlin. The tech of the theater was great. It was, filled with spectators, which was really cool. And there's some great music that played beforehand, a great singer-songwriter that they had come out, and then some really good questions and good reactions at the end.
Same for you, or did you have a
I had a great time, yeah. Good attendance, good emotion, fun to be up there with other people in the cultural section of the event. And yeah, just excited to be in Berlin and grateful to Kino and the 11mm Festival.
So you guys could work for an advertising company as many times as you have mentioned Kino by now.
There you go.
Good spokesperson.
Wait, what's the name of your channel? Maybe we should mention you guys.
We find it quite difficult with some of our English players or English-speaking players to pronounce, so we're not going to go into what our channel is called.
Oh.
Maybe afterwards.
Okay.
All right, let's go back to November 28th, 2016, the day of the plane crash. Do you guys remember where you were at that time, what you were doing, or how you heard about the news of this tragedy?
I think I don't remember exactly where I was, but I remember seeing it on the front page of the New York Times, if I'm remembering correctly. And then there was some communications with friends in Medellin, Colombia, where we've lived in the past, and also with Brazilians, because we've also worked and lived in Brazil quite a bit. So it was a story that we were following very closely, and then we were also doing a documentary series for Fox at that time called Phenoms, about young players in the lead up to the 2018 World Cup. And Fox Sports had 6 journalists that were on that plane that passed away. And so one of the executives at Fox reached out and asked if we'd be interested in doing something about the team and trying to track what their response was going to be to this crash. And we were interested. We went down. We spoke with the remaining members of the club and the community and talked about who we were and what our intentions were. And by the time everybody returned back to the facilities at Chapecoense, we already had cameras there on the ground filming. So it was a very quick turnaround of events.
Basically answers my next question as well, but I'm going to ask it anyway for you, Jeff. When did you guys make the decision to do a movie about it, to make a documentary about it?
When Fox reached out to us, we knew that it was worth exploring at the very least, and there was some flexibility. Often when projects like this come into fruition, it takes a long time to figure out what the approach will be, what the format is. In this case, we were doing it on the fly together, collaboratively with the network, with Fox. Initially, the ambition level was a little bit smaller. We were going to make a film that just tracked the team in the lead up, the rebuilding of the team and the community in the lead up to the first match of the new season. As we started to get really good access and build trust and relationships with many different members of the community, the widows and the mayor and the new players and the players that were on the plane, the players that didn't travel to Colombia, we started to recognize that there was a more layered, complex and nuanced story, and that the best way to tell it would be to give it some time. And so we went back to Fox and suggested that maybe there was a feature-length documentary here, and that maybe we should follow the story over the course of the better part of a year. Ultimately, build up to the climax of the return to the same match that the fallen team was set to play. And Fox, we were very grateful that Fox supported us in that. And we filmed pretty much every day for 7 months on the ground, and also traveling with the team and with other subjects in the film, and made the film over the course of just over a year.
Speaking of access, how did you guys get in touch with the club? How was the communication? Can you describe that to me? I don't know. Who's the more
serious?
No, we had that already. The
more German?
The more organized
Sexy.
person? No. I would say organized. The more who's taking care of communications with the club? Is it both of you? Just tell us a little bit about that.
We actually reached out to a friend and a colleague, Rodrigo Guerrero, who runs a production company throughout Latin America, and he highly recommended somebody he had just worked with, Julian Duque, who is a producer and a director, a Colombian, who had just done a documentary in Brazil. So we reached out to Julian, and he was very interested. He works a lot in the world of football in Latin America. And so with Julian, we were able to make some inroads with the club and the community, because from the onset, really, we knew we wanted to film not just with the team, but also we filmed with the mayor, we filmed with the families of the deceased, we filmed with the fan clubs and other citizens in Chapeco. At that time, at the end of 2016, just weeks after the crash, there was a lot of news media that was vying for a story. And it was important to us to really kind of distinguish ourselves from, the mainstream news media and say, look, we're here to make a documentary film. We are much more interested in the whole story, letting you guys tell the story, staying here, showing up day after day as your story unfolds. And that was something that I think appealed to a lot of them. It was also important for them to hear that we were journalists, we were going to be neutral, that nobody who participated was going to receive any financial compensation, and nobody was going to have editorial control. So that helped, because there very early on started to be some tensions in the community, some accusations and even lawsuits that came to be. And so it was important for people on both sides to know, yes, we're filming with everybody here, but you're all getting the same say. You all have the same treatment.
When we talk about interaction with a club that just lost a number of players and also people from the administrative staff, was there anything that stood out to you in the months that you were there filming? Anybody in particular, maybe a person, maybe a place, maybe just a certain feeling that you guys got from being there? I mean, it's a very emotional film, it's emotionally driven. Anything that you guys say, oh, when I think about that, this is the first thing I think of?
Something that was different about this project for us than other stories, we've done films in places where there have been tragic events before, but never so immediately have we been on the ground working with people when the emotions are that fresh and that raw and people are that vulnerable. And so one of the early learnings for us was that people are going to shift their mindset and how they're adapting to this very frequently. So often when we go into a doc project, we generally get a sense of who the subjects are and what their stories are going to be pretty early on. And this one, it was constantly surprising us who was more active in filming with us and more expressive and wanted to share and felt that being a part of the doc project was therapeutic, and who was super private, and then how that switched. There's even in the film, you see how certain subjects, certain characters in the film go through stages of grief where they'll be very angry one minute and then the next minute really be about unity and embracing community and support and being very public. And so watching that unfold taught us early on in the process to be very patient, that everyone was going to be going through these stages and shifting their approach fairly frequently. And if we waited it out over the course of a better part of a year, then we would have a variety of different reactions from each of the various different subjects. So that really stuck out to us and became a different filmic approach than we were used to.
You guys told quite a few stories about football-related topics. This one is not an exception to that. What does football mean to you guys?
We grew up as athletes and played some football, but I think as filmmakers it was initially appealing to us as a sort of a mirror of society, the way that football could really come to represent an identity of a community or a people. And so it was a great opportunity to tell a narrative with this vehicle that could sort of reflect and you know, even in some cases better articulate sort of how the identity of a people had come to be and was growing and changing during the course of events that we were covering in that film. And I think having worked on films like The Two Escobars, where, you know, we just set out to answer the question of who killed Andres Escobar, and it turned into a much bigger study really of the Colombian people during a period of time. We were interested at the onset in this film to sort of look at what's the bigger universal theme and message in this story as it relates to the identity of the community, not just you know, what happens on the football pitch.
Do you guys know anything about German football?
I wouldn't say that we're experts in any country's football.
Speak for yourself, man. I know. You want to talk Bundesliga, man? We'll go on for hours.
I'd like to talk second Bundesliga, specifically about SFC Union Berlin, which is our club. Do you guys know anything about that?
Union, you said? Yeah, well, we know we're going tomorrow to screen the film, and there's going to be a bunch of folks there from Union, so we're really looking forward to that. And we were fortunate to have your president and some of the executives from the club attend the screening last night, and then we gave them way too many drinks afterwards, so we know all the secrets of the club now.
So you could basically be our worst enemy in times of crisis?
Yeah, that was the idea, yeah. Now we could get anything we want from the club because we know all the secrets. We know who you're going to be trading, you know who you're going to have next year, what games you're going to win.
We'll probably talk about this after we turn the cameras off.
Yeah.
One last question I'd like to ask you guys, and maybe get an answer from both of you. Why should people go and watch this film?
I think that, you know, it's a film that we really hope speaks to everybody, that people that aren't interested in Brazil, who aren't even interested in football. For us, it was really a film about how do we grieve the loss of a loved one, whether that's a family member, a community member, a friend, and how do we stay together in times of difficulty. So hopefully this is a film that has, you know, a lot of emotion, also brings people some joy and something to think about and bring home with them.
It's well said.
Unser Team ab 28. März im Kino.